The cold air from the lobby's ventilation system bites at my skin, but it's the look on his face that freezes me solid. He's scarlet, veins bulging on his neck, screaming at the stoic security guard. His tie is askew, his usual polished facade completely shattered. The guard, a man named Dave I've nodded to 1,000 times, holds up a hand, calm, definitive. "Sir, your access is revoked. You need to leave the premises." The word revoked hangs in the air, heavy, final. My husband, Mark, throws his hands up, gesturing wildly at the glass doors of the high-rise office building, the place where I've spent the last decade building my career, the place where he thought he could waltz in and out using my life as his doormat. "Revoked? What are you talking about?" "I'm Mark Jennings. My wife works here. I have access." He shouts my name, my workplace, like a shield, like it still means something to him beyond a convenience, a tool. I watch from the edge of the lobby, unseen, a ghost in the machine he tried to exploit. My own access badge, the one he duplicated, the one he used to let her into the building, feels heavy against my chest, a lead weight of betrayal and terrible power. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, it helps me more than you know. It feels like a lifetime ago, the easy rhythm of our lives. Weekday mornings blurred into the same routine, coffee, shared glances over news headlines, the automatic kiss goodbye. My career was on an upward trajectory, demanding but fulfilling. His stable, less frantic. We had a comfortable life, built piece by careful piece. My office, high up in the city skyline, felt like my second home. The security protocols were tight, necessary for a company dealing with sensitive data. Everyone had their badge, their unique digital key. Mine was an extension of me, proof of my belonging, my hard work. The first crack wasn't a bang, but a whisper, a feeling. Late nights at the office became more frequent for him, accompanied by flimsy excuses that frayed at the edges when I tugged. A faint, unfamiliar perfume on his shirt. The way his phone became an extra limb, guarded jealously. The usual tells. Cliched, almost comically so, but real. I pushed the unease down, buried it under spreadsheets and project deadlines. Maybe it was stress. Maybe I was imagining things. Then came the first strange alert. An email notification from building security, flagged as unusual activity on my access badge. It was time-stamped for a Saturday afternoon, a time I was miles away, visiting my sister. The log showed my badge number used to enter the building, navigate to a specific floor, not mine, and exit hours later. My stomach dropped. Mark sometimes used my badge if he needed to drop something off, but he always told me. And Saturday? To a different floor? I called security. Dave was on duty. He sounded apologetic, but firm. "Ms. Jennings, the system is infallible. Your badge number was used at that time." I asked if he saw who used it on the camera feed. There was a pause. "Against policy to disclose that, ma'am." "But it wasn't you." My hands shook as I ended the call. My mind spun, grasping for explanations. Did I lose my badge? No, it was clipped to my purse, right where I always kept it. Did someone steal it? But how would they know the code, the extra layer of security required for certain areas? And why that floor? The truth, cold and sharp, began to take shape. He had taken my badge, duplicated it, somehow. Or maybe just borrowed it when I wasn't looking. And he had used it to bring someone into my professional sanctuary. To bring her. I didn't confront him immediately. The shock was too profound. The betrayal wasn't just the infidelity, it was the invasion, the violation of my space, my identity, using the very symbol of my hard-earned success to conduct his affair. He didn't just cheat, he trespassed on my life in the most literal sense. I started digging. Not through his phone, that felt too messy, too emotional at first. I started with the technical. I had access to certain levels of security logs through my work. I started cross-referencing my badge activity with times I knew I wasn't in the building. More anomalies popped up. Lunch breaks when I was outside, short periods when I'd stepped out for coffee. My badge was being used to enter my building, not by me. The timestamps began to form a pattern, coinciding with times Mark was supposedly at the gym or working late elsewhere. The rising challenges felt like drowning. Every unusual activity, alert was a fresh stab. Each timestamp a mocking countdown of minutes spent behind my back, in my space. The office, my refuge, began to feel tainted. I saw colleagues, superiors, and wondered if they knew. If the security team, who knew it wasn't me using the badge, suspected something. My focus at work wavered. The stress was a physical weight. I tried talking to Mark, circling the truth without revealing what I knew. "Honey, did you accidentally take my badge?" Security called about some weird activity. He was too quick to dismiss it. "No, why would I? Must be a system error." You know these things. His eyes were too steady, his smile too easy. The gaslighting began subtly, chipping away at my sanity. Was I crazy? Was I seeing things? The deep crisis hit when I saw her. Not in the logs, not through a camera feed, but in person. I was leaving work late, the lobby almost empty. She walked in, hesitated, looked around nervously, then approached the security turnstile. She fumbled in her purse, not for a badge, but for something else. That's when I saw Mark step out from behind a pillar near the elevators, already inside the secured area. He flashed my badge at the reader, held the gate open, and she slipped through. They didn't see me. They walked towards the elevators, side by side, disappearing into the gilded cage of my professional life. It wasn't just logs anymore. It was real. Her face, his hand holding my badge, the casual way they walked into the building I busted my ass to belong in. It was a punch to the gut, stealing my breath, leaving me cold and hollow in the empty lobby. Everything felt lost. My marriage was a lie. My workplace was compromised. My dignity felt trampled on the expensive marble floor. I stumbled out of the building, the city lights blurring through sudden tears. I couldn't go home. Not to him. I drove aimlessly, the image of her walking through my gate replaying on a loop. The sheer audacity, the contempt. He didn't just betray me. He mocked me, used my success, my identity, to facilitate his sordid little secret. Sitting in my car overlooking the dark, indifferent city, the despair was a heavy blanket. I could walk away, leave him, find a new job, try to rebuild. But the thought of him continuing, of him getting away with this blatant disrespect, of my name potentially being tarnished by his actions within the company's security records. It was unbearable. Then the shift. A slow burn replacing the gut-wrenching pain. The anger solidified, becoming sharp, focused. He used my badge, a technical violation, a security breach. The company took security breaches very seriously. Infallible system, Dave had said. My badge number was used. Not by me. This wasn't just personal anymore. It was professional misconduct, a gross misuse of company access, a potential liability for them. The midpoint shift wasn't a sudden burst of energy, but a cold, calculated calm. I stopped seeing the affair as a heartbreak and started seeing his actions as a crime, a violation of trust that extended far beyond our marriage bed, into the heart of my professional life. He had used the rules of my world against me. Now I would use those same rules against him. The turning point was quiet, deliberate. I went back to the logs. I requested access to more detailed reports, citing personal security concerns and unauthorized access attempts related to my credentials. My position gave me leverage. I wasn't accusing him yet. I was gathering evidence. Timestamps, entry points, duration of stay, even camera footage requests for specific times and dates tied to my badge number. The security team was professional, albeit curious. They saw the pattern too. A badge used frequently at odd hours, accessing areas not typical for the badge holder, accompanied by a second, unbadged individual. This wasn't just a dropped-off package. This was a clear, repeated security violation. I worked late, fueled by a grim determination. I cross-referenced everything. His calendar excuses, my actual location, the security logs, the camera footage. I built a case, a meticulously documented timeline of his deceit, built on the undeniable, unbiased data of the building's security system. Paper trails, I discovered, are more powerful than emotions. They don't lie, they don't gaslight, they just state facts. My plan solidified. It wasn't about revenge in the messy, emotional sense. It was about consequence. About ensuring his actions had professional repercussions, not just for him, but preventing them from impacting my career, my reputation. The badge was his weapon. It would be mine too. I requested a meeting with the head of security, a man named Mr. Hayes, and my direct manager, Sarah. I walked into the meeting room, a stack of meticulously organized documents in my hand. No tears, no drama. Just facts. I laid out the timeline, the unusual badge activity, the dates, the times, the specific logs. The camera footage confirming an unbadged individual entering with my credentials, accompanied by a man identifiable as my husband. I explained the situation calmly, clinically. My husband had, without my knowledge or permission, obtained my badge number or the badge itself and used it repeatedly over several months to gain unauthorized access to the building for himself and a third party. This was a severe security breach. Hayes and Sarah listened, their faces grim. The implications were serious. Unauthorized access, potential data security risks, a clear violation of company policy. My own position felt precarious for a moment. How did he get the badge? I explained I didn't know, that I suspected he had somehow duplicated it or taken it temporarily without my knowledge. The evidence of my own consistent, authorized badge usage, and the logs showing the pattern of unauthorized use correlating with times I was verifiably elsewhere, supported my claim. This is significant, Emily, Hayes said, tapping a finger on one of the printouts. A severe breach. We'll need to involve HR and likely legal. I understand, I said. My primary concern was the security integrity and ensuring my own credentials weren't permanently flagged or compromised due to this unauthorized activity. I didn't ask them to punish him. I didn't even mention the affair. I framed it purely as a security issue, a violation of company policy by an external individual, my husband, in this context, facilitated by the misuse of employee credentials. The facts spoke for themselves. They assured me they would handle it internally. They would cross-reference their own investigations. They admitted they had noticed the anomalies but were still investigating the source, with the detailed timeline I provided. They thanked me for bringing it to their attention proactively. I left the meeting feeling strangely lighter, but also heavy with anticipation. The trap was set. A few days later, I got a discreet call from Mr. Hayes' office. They had completed their investigation. Based on the logs, the camera footage, and my corroborated timeline, they had taken action. My badge was cleared of any suspicion of misuse by me. However, due to the severity of the breach and repeated unauthorized access, my husband's name had been flagged across all security systems. He was now permanently banned from entering the building, effective immediately. Any attempt would trigger an alert and immediate removal by security. He didn't know any of this. I hadn't spoken to him much since the night I saw them in the lobby. Just brief, tense exchanges about logistics, circling the inevitable discussion about our marriage. He was still operating under the assumption that he was untouchable, that his actions were invisible. The day he screamed in the lobby was no accident. I had received a final email from security confirming the ban was active. A few hours later, I saw his car pull up outside the building on the security camera feed on my computer. He was here. Probably planning another rendezvous, confident in his ability to use my access like a free pass. The other woman wasn't with him, at least not visibly. He walked in, head held high, straight towards the turnstiles. I waited. I didn't need to be there, didn't need to witness it. But something compelled me. I took the elevator down, heart pounding, a strange mix of dread and grim satisfaction churning inside me. I reached the lobby just as he was reaching the turnstile. He swiped a generic visitor card, something they give for quick visits, perhaps thinking he could sweet-talk his way through if he needed to sign in. But his name was in the system now. Flagged. Banned. The turnstile light flashed red. An automated voice echoed through the lobby, calm and clear. Access denied. Please see security. His expression shifted from confident impatience to annoyance. He muttered something under his breath and approached Dave at the security desk. "This is where I came in." I stayed out of sight, near the elevators, a silent observer. He explained he was Mark Jennings, here to see his wife, Emily Jennings. Dave, the same Dave I'd given the evidence to, nodded slowly, his expression neutral. He typed Mark's name into the system. The screen in front of him, I knew, would be flashing red alerts. "Mr. Jennings," Dave said, his voice amplified slightly by his headset microphone, reaching me across the lobby. "I'm sorry, but your name is in the system. Your access has been permanently revoked. You are banned from entering this building." That's when the scarlet flush started, creeping up his neck, into his face. "Banned? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. There must be a mistake." He started to argue, to bully, his voice rising, attracting the attention of the few people left in the lobby. "My wife is Emily Jennings, a senior manager. Call her. She'll tell you this is a mistake." He pointed towards the elevators, towards the floors I occupied, demanding they use my name to solve his problem. The irony was a bitter pill. Dave remained impassive. "Sir, the system is very clear. Security has flagged you. Any attempt to bypass this will result in further action. You need to leave now." "I'm not leaving," Mark roared, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "You can't do this. This is my wife's workplace. I have rights." He took a step forward, as if to push past Dave. That's when two larger security guards appeared from a side office, their presence silent but imposing. "Sir, do not resist," one of them said, their tone low and firm. "Please exit the building immediately." Mark's face contorted in rage and disbelief. He looked around wildly, perhaps expecting me to appear, to fix this, to save him like I always had in smaller ways. His eyes swept the lobby, and then they landed on me. I didn't hide. I stood there, arms crossed, my expression carefully blank. The moment his eyes met mine, his screaming stopped mid-sentence. His face went from furious red to a sudden, sickening white. He saw me. He saw the truth in my eyes. Not heartbreak, not despair, just a cold, quiet resolve. He saw that I knew, that I was here, and perhaps in that instant he understood. He understood that this ban wasn't a system error. It was a consequence I had orchestrated. The realization hitting him was more potent than any shout, any accusation I could have hurled. The color drained from his face, replaced by pure, unadulterated horror. He wasn't just caught. He was trapped, banned from the place he used to violate me, banned because of the very tool he used for his betrayal. He looked from me back to the impassive security guards, his mouth opening and closing wordlessly. The fight left him. The bluster evaporated. He looked like a deflating balloon, collapsing under the weight of his own catastrophic miscalculation. "Get out," Dave said, gesturing firmly towards the doors. Mark didn't scream again. He didn't argue. He just stared at me for another long, silent moment, his eyes wide with a dawning, terrible understanding. Then, shoulders slumped, he turned and walked out the glass doors, the city swallowing him whole. I stayed until he was gone, the echoes of his earlier screams still hanging in the air. The lobby slowly returned to its quiet hum. Dave gave me a small, knowing nod. I nodded back. No words were needed. Walking away from the lobby that night felt different. The air still felt cold, but it no longer bit. The building, once tainted, felt like my own again. I hadn't gotten messy revenge. I hadn't destroyed his life, though this ban would undoubtedly have professional repercussions for him, limiting where he could work if his companies had relationships with mine or were in the same complex. But I had protected mine. I had used his own weapon, his own disregard for rules and boundaries, to build a wall between his toxicity and my professional sanctuary. The badge clipped to my purse felt lighter now. It wasn't just a key anymore. It was a shield, a symbol of my resilience, my strategic thinking, my refusal to be a victim. The win was cold, quiet, and deeply satisfying. It wasn't about winning back a marriage. It was about winning back myself, my space, my future. The office building gleams against the night sky, a silent testament to battles fought within its walls. Some are fought with spreadsheets and presentations. Others, it turns out, are fought with security logs and cold, hard facts. If this story hit close to home, I'd love to hear your version. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these to life.